for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, and I thank the witness for being here today. And Mr. Chairman, I thank you for holding this hearing prior to any markup on such an important issue, although I still have reservations regarding the process in which this resolution is moving. There are far too many unanswered questions to resolve that will undoubtedly lead to unintended consequences on the market. That being said, I strongly oppose this resolution because it undermines market certainty, harms consumers, discourages innovation, investment, and job creation in this country, and does nothing to move our nation's economy forward. Mr. Saccone, it's no secret that over the years, AT&T has raised concerns over proposed net neutrality rules. Yet, AT&T took a stance in support of the FCC's order as its CEO and chairman earlier this year that the open internet order ended at a place where we have a line of sight and we know we can commit to investments. What are the specific factors that lead you to supporting the FCC's order?
As I said earlier, Ms. Matsui, I think we're comfortable with the order primarily because it walks this line, we feel, in a more balanced way than the other proposals that were in front of the FCC. I think keep in mind that the two proposals that were there, one was an NPRM that frankly had a discrimination standard in it that we felt was probably a violation of the Telecom Act and certainly didn't have support in the Act. Would have inevitably led to legal challenge. And the other was to impose common carriage regulation on these services again, which would have been, I think, a very extreme proposal. We were pleased that the FCC was willing to work with us to try and deal with our concerns and, frankly, deal with the concerns of stakeholders to see if there was a middle ground. Like any middle ground, we're not happy with every part of it. We'd have preferred some different language and different standards. We'd have preferred nothing on wireless.
Right. I understand that. We've heard from a great number of leading economists in support of the FCC's order. Assuming that the FCC moves forward with the order to ensure rules of the road are in place to protect innovators and consumers, what impact does CRA have on Wall Street?
I think that's tough to predict, Ms. Matsui, primarily because I think if the CRA were to pass, I think the ball then passes to the FCC, and I think the market reaction would depend heavily on how the FCC then reacted. If the FCC, for example, reacted by deciding that it didn't want to move forward with any further regulations in this area, obviously I think the market would be pleased and that would provide a high degree of certainty. If, on the other hand, the FCC reacted by going back to the still open Title II proceeding and began that process all over again that we went through this past year, I think it would create a great deal of uncertainty. So I think the answer to that really rests with the FCC. It doesn't really, it's not really a product of the CRA and what the Congress decides to do on that. It's really more a product of what the FCC decides to do in the wake of that.
Okay, but you're still dealing with uncertainty, though.
Potentially, but again, depending on what the FCC decides to do.
Okay. The FCC Open Internet Order includes a meaningful transparency requirement so that consumers and innovators have the information they need to make informed choices. I should mention that this transparency rule was widely supported by all industry stakeholders and deemed non-controversial. If this resolution becomes law, the FCC's transparency rule, which simply states that broadband providers must disclose their network management practices, performance characteristics, and terms and conditions of the broadband service to consumers, will be eliminated. That would be bad for consumers, bad for business, and bad for the Internet economy. I have a question for the panel, and I'd like a yes or no answer, just a yes or no answer. Do you support the FCC's sixth principle on transparency, which will provide consumers, small businesses, and innovators with the information they need to make informed choices? I'll start with you, Mr. Turner.
Yes.
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 Okay, thank you for your answer. The FCC order includes a meaningful transparency requirement, which this whole panel seems to agree should be in place. As our economy continues to evolve and new emerging economic sectors are growing, a free and open internet will be vital, one that acts as a framework for industry to follow to ensure all stakeholders are playing by one rule. Ms. Chase, you're a leading entrepreneur who relies on the internet to conduct businesses. Using your experience, how will the FCC open internet order impact emerging new economic sectors like smart grid and health IT, among others?
I think it'll have an enormous impact, and that's one of the things I'm concerned about.
Okay, thank you. Yield back the balance of my time.
Gentlelady's time has expired. I now recognize the chairman of the Oversight Committee and the former chairman of this committee, Mr. Stearns, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.